you telling me people making $500,000, $800,000 a year are just making phone calls? If a real estate agent can wake up, master their morning, master their schedule, have 20 new conversations a day, they can't be stopped. Been in the industry for about 17 years and really built my business with really two things in mind. One is servant leadership. So the people I get in business with, my mindset from a leadership perspective, Matt, is to serve those people that I work with so that they can elevate their career to the highest level. That's number one. And then number two is this concept that I've been teaching now for quite some time, which is called reverse selling. And really, it's the same approach I take in leadership from a sales perspective to really look out for the prospect's best interest first, to go out there to serve the consumer so that those consumers know that I have their best interest in mind, becoming more attractive for people to want to work with them. So those two things have really helped to elevate my career over the past 17 years and just having a lot of fun along the way. So here's my success principle, right? So we call it the 80-15-5 principle. 80%, right, is mindset. 15% is attitude and effort. And only 5% is skill. What that means to me, Matt, is this. It really means that your mindset is absolutely responsible for how you feel. How somebody feels impacts their actions and behaviors. So in anything that we do, business, relationships, health, fitness, is going to be determined on how much action we take. That action is directly correlated to the mindset that we have on a daily basis. And so when you call it 80%, 90%, 95%, whatever the percent is, mindset is the thing that's responsible for the person's actions and behaviors. And so therefore, I agree with you 100%. We have to first strengthen the mindset, strengthen the belief systems that we have to put somebody in a position to win. Because here's what's going to happen. I can teach a real estate agent, Matt, all of the tactics, all of the strategies, all of the best systems, scripts, skills I possibly can. But the second they start dealing with rejection and they start going into this negative self-talk, it's all for naught. It's all for nothing. So we have to have a strong mindset, strong discipline, strong focus, strong work ethic. All of those things come first, then tactics and strategies come second. You know, it doesn't matter where you're at or what market is or what company, everybody dealing with the same thing. I call it creative avoidance, which I've talked to you about for years and years and years and years. And you're exactly right. It's, I think what's happening is when you and I give recommendations or advice that the person hears how simple it is, they automatically discredit the advice because it just can't be that simple, Matt. It's got to be hard. Are you telling me people making $500,000, $800,000 a year are just making phone calls? Like, come on, it's got to be more than that. I can't accept that. Are you telling me people with six-pack abs are just eating chicken breast, broccoli, and working out 3 days a week? Yep, that's it. But people are obsessed with what shoes should I wear when I go on a run? What should my form look like when I do a sit-up or a push-up? Don't worry about all of that. What I keep trying to harp on people, Matt, is think less, do more. Think less, do more. And you've heard me say this 1,000 times. The learning is in the doing. It's in the action. It's not in getting ready to one day aim, then take fire. You know what I mean? It's like, no, take action, start doing, and then once you start doing that, you start to build some momentum, you start to build confidence, your skills start to increase, everything else starts to take care of itself. But people are avoiding doing the actual things that lead to results and tricking themselves that they're being productive when they're really not. It always goes back to the basics, you know? It always goes back to the fundamentals. Whether you, and I know you are in the military, it's just executing on the fundamentals. And here's the thing. Because it's not sexy, Matt, it's not exciting, it's very boring, it's mundane work, people run away from it and they discredit the basics. When, I always tell the story of Vince Lombardi because that's one of the greatest stories in the analogy on base what you and I are talking about. I mean, the defense knew, Matt, exactly what play they were going to run, but they still couldn't stop them because the execution of the basics were so good. And the same thing goes for real estate agents. If a real estate agent can wake up, master their morning, master their schedule, have 20 new conversations a day, they can't be stopped. They will outproduce everybody. But, that's just too simple. They want to overcomplicate it. I'll tell you, it's because of biology. And people's brain is hardwired to have them avoid pain, avoid conflict, take the path of least resistance, because our brain is trying to protect us from getting into any pain. And Matt, what happens is human beings are social creatures. We want to feel accepted. And when we start making outbound prospecting phone calls, or we start knocking doors, or we start doing things that make us feel uncomfortable, immediately, right, our subconscious mind says, nope, don't do that. That's pain. That can't be good. I got to go do something that makes me feel more comfortable. But here's the thing. In real estate specific, if anybody that's going to listen to this podcast, you're going to want to write this one down. Pain is the only evidence we have that you're doing the right things. There's something that Darren Hardy taught me called the PainPendulum. And here's how it works, Matt, and I'll share this with your audience. We can't just flip on a switch one day and say, okay, I am now successful. I wish you could, you can't. However, you can control how much pain you put yourself in on a daily basis. You can control what time you wake up. You can control if you work out in the morning. You can control if you prospect. So here's what the PainPendulum says. The further you push yourself on the side of pain, the equal side on the opposite of the pendulum will equal in success. So most people, Matt, they live in this world of comfort where they just deal with a little bit of pain, so they only experience a little bit of pleasure. The real successful people, Matt, they push themselves into massive amounts of pain so that when the pendulum swings back, what happens? They get massive amounts of success. And so I always tell people, if you are in pain, that's a good sign you're doing the right thing. If you're comfortable, that's the evidence you're doing the wrong thing. And if you stay comfortable for too long, you're going to find yourself out of this business. Knowing what I know now, because I tell everybody the same thing, I was distracted by so much shiny objects. Every coach, every trainer, Matt, I did it all. And I know you know this, and I've told you this story. I did it all. Knowing what I know now, I would make, just like I said before, I would focus on 20 new conversations per day. I would call for sale by owners, expired listings, old expired listings, absentee owners, for rent by owners, and downsizers. And I would have 20 conversations a day, 100 a week. That 100 a week as a brand new agent knowing nobody is going to equal 1 listing appointment. I would go on 4 listing appointments per month. I would convert half of them. I would get 2 listings a month my first year, that's 24 sales. The next year, all those ratios will double, meaning this. I will continue to have 20 conversations. However, instead of it taking 100 conversations to get 1 listing, now it's only taking 50. So I'll go to 48 transactions my second year. At the end of my second year, I'm going to hire a full-time assistant, and I'm going to leverage all of the showings to a full-time showing assistant, showing agent. I'm then going to get to, at the end of my third year, I'll probably double again, still making 20 contacts a day. That stays the same. At the end of my third year, I'm going to hire a full-time ISA to make my new 20 contacts per day, and then I'm going to transition my 20 contacts in the database. Past clients, centers of influence, focusing on the relationship-based conversations, still 20, but now we double down because I've got the ISA doing 20, now we're doing 40 a day, and by the end of my third year, I'd be over 100 transactions a year. The assistant would absolutely be licensed. And from day one, to your point, they'd handle all the transaction from contract to close. And I would train them to handle all of the inspection negotiation and appraisal negotiation. I'd be out of all of that earlier in my career if I could go back and start it all over again. So that 80-90% of my day, Matt, was all spent in income, revenue generating activities, prospecting, and going on appointments. And by the end of my third year, I'd be out of the top of funnel lead generation too, because my ISA would be doing that. I'd be just doing all lead follow-up and going on listing appointments. All that stuff is just pulling you away from what got you there in the first place. And every agent, you're right, they're prioritizing the fires over the new lead generation activities, because that stuff doesn't give you an instant gratification, doesn't give you instant results. So they're saying to themselves, well, let me just prioritize fixing this deal because I can fix it right now. I can get a result right now. But here's the thing I always tell people. That 2-hour call block, 2 1-hour call blocks in the morning, like nothing should take priority of that. Nothing. All that other stuff is still going to be there at 10 a.m. All of it. It's not going away. The lender, the title company, the agent's asking about the roof, it's going to be there at 10, 10:30, 11 o'clock in the morning. You can deal with it at that time, but don't let the world distract you from your vision, from your goals, from your future. And that 8 to 10 block should be like untouchable time that you just focus on yourself and your future. Actions before outcomes. Detaching from the outcome and focusing on the activity will serve you so well in your life. And to give people like some concrete examples, Matt, this will make sense when we look at health and fitness. You know, you don't work out one time and expect to see your abs coming through, right? That'd be attached to the outcome. The action is the diet. The action is the running, the lifting of the weights. Fall in love with the process. Fall in love with the journey. Because the thing is, Matt, everyone's so obsessed with the end result, the thing, the relationship, the car, the money, the this, the that, and they never get there because they're missing the point. And all the studies show that people that accomplish the external motivators, they focused and they obsessed with the journey. The journey was the work. The journey was the love. And so that'd be my one piece of advice is like, if you can really fall in love with your craft of like what you're doing and the journey on your way, the results will absolutely take care of themselves instead of the other way around. My big goal moving forward is to revamp reverseselling.com to make it the #1 online education website for people in the real estate community, where they can go to this one place, Matt, and craft their skill, hone their skill on whatever they're working on in that moment. And what I mean by that is this, whether that be a buyer consultation, a listing consultation, how to grow your database, how to get referrals, all of the things that realtors go through when they're growing their career, reverseselling.com, hopefully this summer, is going to have all of this content on this one website where after a click of a button, agents can get the training, the education that they need. Brokers will have somewhere to send their agents to get the education, the training that they need to build a very successful career in this industry. So that's what we're working on right now.